What up, YouTube? Team Movies here with Antebellum out premiering on VOD now. I decided to go ahead and do my top 10 favorite black horror movies at one time. Because it was always cool to see when horror movies go very diverse with their films. And there's been some pretty good black-led horror films in the past. So with that being said, here are my top 10 picks. Number 10, I'm going to go with the film East Bayou. Now, this stars Jurnee Smollett-Bell, who portrays this, portrays this 10-year-old who ends up discovering that her family's influent existence is merely a face aid, and so her adoptive father, Louis, played by Samuel Jackson, ends up, creates a rift that throws Eve's mother, Roz, portrayed by Lynn Whitfield, and her teen sister, Cicely, played by Meagan Good, into an emotional turmoil. And so, Eve ends up managing to find some solace with her, quirky psychic aunt, portrayed by Debbie Morgan. And there's a horror that ends up happening throughout the films. This movie gets pretty creepy. I mean, I guess this isn't your typical horror film, but Samuel Jackson ends up getting pretty creepy in this, so there's that. Jurnee Smollett-Bell, obviously, years before, pretty much years before she appeared in stuff like, Birds of Prey, Underground, Lovecraft Country. She was pretty good in this. The movie was also directed by Kasi Lemmons, who also recently gave us that Harriet Tubman biopic, Harriet. I don't know, she did a pretty good job with this. I mean, it's a pretty good film. I mean, if you guys have not really seen East Bayou, it's pretty good. I mean, it doesn't really get talked about a whole lot, but it's actually not a bad film. Alright. Coming in at number 9, it's more of a guilty pleasure. It's not that great of a film, but I sometimes get a kick out of it. Number 9, I'm going to go with the Snoop Dogg classic, Bones. Bones is a bit of an odd film, but it stars Snoop Dogg, who plays a character named Jimmy Bones. I mean, how ironic that someone named Snoop Dogg is playing a character named Bones. Yeah. But anyway, in it, he's of course a legendary protector and patron of his driven neighborhood, and so he ends up pretty much benevolent. He's also a benevolent caretaker of his people until he ends up being betrayed by those closest to him. And so go flash forward 20 years. Crimes and drugs ends up being crumbled in the neighborhood, and Jimmy Bones has become a charismatic and belle of better times and all. And his spirit ends up making a comeback and all. Bones there's some pretty cool kills in this too as well, but Snoop Dogg portraying pretty much an evil spirit. Okay, that's actually not all that bad. You also had a few other folks in this. You had Pat Greer was in this, Bianca Lawson appeared in this, Clifton Powell appeared in this movie. You had some pretty good cast members. Bones is pretty creepy. It's a really fun horror flick to watch. I mean, if you guys have not really seen Bones yet, I'll say give it a shot. It's not that great of a film, but hey, if you want to see a creepy Snoop Dogg, this is definitely one for you. I mean, who could ever really picture Snoop Dogg as a role like this? But yeah, he was actually pretty good at it now. Number 8, I'm going to go with Blacula. Now, this is about a African president played by William Marshall, who ends up getting turned into a vampire by Count Dracula, portrayed by Charles McAuley, and he ends up being sealed in the coffin for several lifetimes. And so Blacula ends up reawakening in 1970s LA, leaving the trail of bloodless victims in his wake. And so he ends up pursuing Linda, portrayed by Vanessa McGee, who's a woman who bears a striking resemblance to his dead wife. This is actually those 1970s blaxploitation films that came out in the 70s, 60s, and all. There were some pretty good blaxploitation movies back in that time period, and Blackula, I mean, Blackula is a bit of a guilty pleasure. It's also not that great of a film, but hey, if you ever want to see a black vampire, this is definitely one for you. I mean, this came before like Vampires in Brooklyn, which is also pretty good. You also had the likes of Thomas Rosola, who portrays the Dr. Gordon Thomas. Lieutenant Gordon Pinsett plays the role of Lieutenant Peters. And that was some pretty good blaxploitation movies back in the days. And this is definitely one of the coolest ones there is. It was a pretty cool horror vampire based film. Of course, they were capitalizing on the success of 1930s Dracula and all. If you guys have not really seen Blackula by now, it's a classic one right there. It premiered in late 1970s, I think 1975. I can't remember the actual year, but it was actually a pretty good one. Number 7 is also more of a guilty pleasure of mine. That is Leprechaun Back to the Hood. Now, Leprechaun in the Hood that paired, a Leprechaun with Ice-T, that wasn't too good, to be honest. But I would admit right now, Back to the Hood is actually much better. I mean, this time, of course, this is what ended up becoming Warwick Davis's fine portrayal of the Leprechaun. And here you got this hairdresser named Emily Woodrow, portrayed by Tangy Miller, who finds the answers to her financial problems, which she ends up stumbling on a goat, pretty much on a pot of couple of goat, like a chest of gold. And her and her friends quickly go from rags to riches, but of course the evil Leprechaun, portrayed by Davis, wants the gold back. And so he'll stop at nothing to pretty much get the gold and all. And Leprechaun Back to the Hood, I mean, if you ever want to see someone getting killed by a freaking bong, yeah, this is definitely one for you. I mean, it literally has someone getting killed by a bong. Whoever knew that bong could actually kill you, but okay. I mean, Leprechaun Back in the Hood, I mean, if you ever want to see a Leprechaun rap, okay, alright. But Leprechaun Back to the Hood, it's so darn fun. It is dumb. It's a dumb film, I would admit there right now. But it's a really fun flick. Warwick Davis, I mean, he's pretty much portrays the Leprechaun perfectly, and he does it really well. You have a few other folks in this as well. The dude from I think Leslie Alonso from The Boys, he's actually in this. Keisha Sharp from Fox's Lethal Weapon, she appeared in this film. This is such a fun film. If you guys have not really seen Leprechaun Back to the Hood, to be honest, this is probably my second favorite out of the Leprechaun films. Obviously, after the 1993 one, but Leprechaun Back to the Hood is a really fun flick. Worth checking out. I mean, come on, Leprechaun been everywhere. He's been to space, he's been to the hood, he fought Jennifer Aniston, so what a really cool character that Leprechaun was. Number 6, it is Blade. Now, I guess you can see this is more like an action movie than straight up horror. But Blade, now, everyone always goes saying that, Black Panther, I love Black Panther, don't get me wrong. Everyone always say that Black Panther was the film, major film that, was the first major black superhero film. No, it wasn't. Blade was really the quintessential one there. I mean, you had Wesley Snipes, portraying the role of Blade, and Wesley Snipes was terrific here. The vampires in this was all pretty cool. Of course, Wesley Snipes ended up reprising his role as Blade for 2 more films. Blade 2 was pretty good. Blade 3, Blade Trinity, yeah. I did hear we are getting another Blade movie coming out in 2 more years, I'm guessing. But the first Blade is a great one. Wesley Snipes, at the height of his career, was a perfect Blade. And he played that role perfectly. I mean, him pretty much, trying to get rid of vampires and all is pretty cool right there. All right, coming in at number 5, I'm going to go with Jordan Peele's classic, Us. Now, of course, this was Jordan Peele's Get Out follow-up, and it's about this couple and their kids who ends up going into this into this cabin, and turns out there are doppelgangers who are getting after them and all, and they're trying to fight for survival. And I mean, they're pretty much trying to face off themselves. Of course, this stars Lupita. Speaking of Black Panther, this stars it features Black Panther co-stars Lupita Nyong'o and Winston Duke, who are both great in this. The one who plays the kids was pretty good. You also had Elizabeth Moss was in this. Jordan Peele did such a great job with this film. What he was able to do with us was super awesome. I mean, it was so darn original. I mean, the Tannins, those are some really messed up characters. But, Peele did such a great job with this film. If you guys have not really seen Us, I'll say give it a shot. I mean, the twist at the end was pretty interesting as well. Alright, coming in at number 4, I'm going to go with Tales from the Hood. Now, this is a anthology horror series about this creepy Martian named Mr. Sims, played by Clarence Williams III, who ends up attempting to scare, this teenage drug dealer named Stack, played by Joe Torre, and his friend Straight, by telling him horrifying stories and all. And so, one, of course, is about to get a guilt-riddled cop portrayed by Anthony Griffith, who goes on, who ends up going crazy after ignoring his corrupt partner, played by Michael Macy. And this, some interesting, story arcs that's featured in this. This is pretty much a horror anthology film. And of course, Clarence Williams III did a pretty good job in this. The story arcs in this thing ends up getting really messed up. I mean, it's a horror film that takes place in the hood. So there's that. There are drug dealers in this. There are gangsters. This is one messed up film, but Tales from the Hood, it's so darn fun. There are some very gory scenes. There's some really cool kills in this. Like I said, some really cool stories in this. I mean, of course, they also actually did a sequel that went straight to DVD, which, to be honest, wasn't so good. There's a third one premiering, coming straight to DVD, so I guess I'll check that one out. But yeah, Tales of the Hood, it's a really good one. If you guys haven't really seen Tales of the Hood yet, give that one a shot. Alright, number 3, speaking of Jordan Peele, I'm going to go with Get Out. Jordan Peele, I mean, it is so crazy to believe that this is a guy who does Key and Peele, but he does such a great job when it comes to the horror genre. He knows the horror genre very well. And what he was able to, to give us with Get Out was terrific. I mean, you had Dan Kaluuya. Of course, he scored an Oscar nomination for his performance. He was terrific. You also had Lil Rel Howery, who stole lots of scenes. I mean, this movie was a very fun horror comedy, and I mean, crazy twist in this film was I really did not see that twist coming. And of course, the sunken place. I mean, never want to trust someone with who stirs tea, okay? But anyway, of course, Get Out scored loads of Oscar nominations, and of course, won for Best Original Screenplay. I really love Get Out. It's really it gets pretty bloody at times. It's very creepy. It's hilarious. I mean, the film also does have to do with racism. There's that. There is is a social thriller, but man, if you got, not to mention Bradley Whitford and Catherine Keener, Allison Williams, they were all great. You even had Lakeith Stanfield. I mean, Get Out is such a great one. Jordan Peele needs to do a sequel to Get Out. I would love to see another one. But of course, after Us and Get Out, I cannot wait to see what Jordan Peele does next. Alright, my number 2 favorite is going to be Night of the Living Dead. Now, this horror film ended up making history, really, because it's actually the first ever horror film to feature a black lead. And of course, he was portrayed by Dwayne Jones. And lots of black filmmakers today will tell you that Night of the Living Dead was a quintessential film of theirs, and it ended up Jordan Peele will even tell you that Night Night of the Living Dead ended up inspiring him to, inspire him, like his horror films and all. Night of the Living Dead is one of the most iconic zombie movies there is. Directed by George A. Romero. Dwayne Jones, either he was terrific as the lead in this. The zombies was all pretty cool. Night of the Living Dead, there's so much stuff to really enjoy with this film. It's one of the most classic zombie horror films there is. I mean, if there wasn't Night of the Living Dead, we probably wouldn't even have Walking Dead or any of those other classic zombie films we got nowadays. But yeah, if you guys have never really seen Night of the Living Dead, which got released in 1962, it's a zombie classic right there. Alright. Number 1, I'm gonna go with Candyman. I mean, say his name 3 times. Candyman, Candyman, Candyman. Oh boy, I just said the name 3 times. Jesus. But anyway, now I thought Candyman is a terrific one. Because there were not really many horror movie, like black horror movie films, to be honest. Yeah. So I thought, Candyman, it got released in 1992. So pretty much me and Candyman and me are pretty much 28 years old. Right there, right there. But anywho, Candyman, of course, starring the great Tony Todd. It's a horror classic. Candyman is one of the most iconic horror movie villains there is. I mean, he pretty much has a hook for a hand, so there's that. Candyman, there's so much to really love about Candyman. Of course, you also had Vanessa Williams was in this. You had Virginia Madsen. Lots of people also tell you that Candyman was like an influence for them. I mean, heck, Jordan Peele is even giving us a new Candyman, which premieres sometime next year. Cannot wait to check out that new Candyman that Jordan Peele has coming, which of course will be directed by Nia DaCosta, who's giving us Captain Marvel too. So there's that. But yeah, Candyman is definitely one of the best in my opinion. And if you guys have not really seen the original Candyman, give it a shot. There's also sequels, which to be honest, the sequels aren't so good. But the original Candyman holds up in a heartbeat. Alright, that's pretty much it. Let me do the quick rundown. 10 East Bayo, 9 Bones, 8 Blackula, 7 Leprechaun Back to the Hood, 6 Blade, 5 Us, 4 Tales from the Hood, 3 Get Out, 2 Night of the Living Dead, and number 1 Candyman. Now there's a few other ones I probably could have added. Let's see. Oh, you guys want to check out like a documentary about black people in horror films? Go check out the Shudder documentary titled Horror Noir. That's actually a pretty good docu. The People Under the Stairs. Speaking of Snoop Dogg, there's Hood of Horrors. Let's see, Vampire in Brooklyn with Eddie Murphy is a classic. Let's see, Hollow 1 and 2. What other ones there are? Blood Couple, Sugar Hill. There's some pretty solid ones around. Anyway, not to mention Tales of the Dark Side is a pretty good one too. Let me leave it to you guys. What are some of your favorite black horror movies of all time? Drop a comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for more notifications. This is T-Movie signing off.